they don't do football as good as Baker Mayfield and the Browns. Overrated as hell, some people say. Rex Ryan had to swallow that one this morning as Nick Chubb rallied off 174-some yards, and they haven't even used Odell Beckham in the offense yet. Are the Browns the greatest football team ever assembled? We will find out.
It's possible.
Is Daniel Jones William Wallace? What? That William Wallace? Yep, I got some stats to prove it. I did a little research this morning, and I would like to let the world know that Daniel Jones not only helps the offense, not only helps the New York Giants franchise, but what he's done in that locker room is nothing short of miraculous. And that win he had last week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, everybody, including myself, was like, yeah, it's the Buccaneers. More like the Succaneers, am I right? Then they go and get a win in Los Angeles against the Rams. Everybody's like, wait a minute, did Daniel Jones beat a team that just beat the Los Angeles Rams? Yes, he did. We'll talk about that. We'll overreact to that. Dak Prescott and the Cowboys looked bad down in the Bayou. But on the flip side, Will Lutz buries 4 field goals and wins on Sunday Night Football. It's a magical overreaction Monday. We want your thoughts. 1-833-622-3331. Go ahead and hit us up there. Zito will be answering your calls. Hashtag Pat McAfee Show Live to join the show here on the internet. Other than that, I can't wait to get started. Ty Schmidt, how you feeling?
I feel great today, Pat.
That, oh boy, Evan Fox, play some Chase Rice.
It's the perfect occasion for a little vacation from the heart of the nation. Not your medication, 2 hours of magic. Let's give it a go. Ladies and gents, it's the Pat McAfee Show. It's the Pat McAfee Show.
Yes, it is Chase Rice. I couldn't hear a single word of that. I hope it worked out. Chase Rice is on tour. If you have a chance to go see him, go ahead and do that. Puts on a fantastic show. Has a couple beers up there. Him and the boys perform well. Speaking of performing well, the Cleveland Browns and the Dog Pound are all the way back. This is the moment I've been excited about now. They've got tested. Last week, they played terribly. They looked bad. The entire world started to burn down around them. Everybody was talking, is this team overhyped? Is this team overrated? Can Freddie Kitchens coach his way out of a kitchen bag? He proved that he could this weekend.
Yes, he did.
He really did. Get the ball to Nick Chubb. Let's go ahead and get the ball on the ground. Let's go ahead and open up the pass offense if we need it by utilizing Odell Beckham Jr. as a distraction. Odell Beckham was carrying 3 players around at all times around him. He got the ball twice, only 7 targets. He's only touched the ball 3 times in the last 16 series. Is Odell Beckham going to be able to maintain a level head with not getting the rock tie?
In short, no, I don't think so. I mean, we all know what the kind of guy Odell is.
Whoa.
If they're winning, I guess maybe it's not as big of a deal. But sooner or later, I mean, big dog's going to want to eat.
Odell Beckham Jr. likes a few things, okay? He likes dancing.
Yep.
Loves dancing. One of the best dancers I've ever seen.
Yep.
I would argue that he is a very talented dancer.
Yeah, I'd agree.
He likes kicking field goals after he spins the football in warm-ups.
He does like that.
I would argue he's one of the best spinning football field goal kickers in the history of that. He likes good earrings, one of which he lost on the field yesterday after getting strangled on the field with no call by the refs, by the way, which is a bit wild to me. But he also likes the ball. And that's what's so interesting about this Browns team is they were able to get a massive win against a dog-grumpy Redskins team that's going to be in competition with the Dolphins for that first pick, by the way. That place is a dysfunction haven. They got nothing going on. But no, not against the Redskins. That's completely wrong, everything I just said. It was the Ravens.
Close.
Yeah. But the Ravens were a team everybody was talking about and hyping up. And instead, you get the ball to Nick Chubb, you get that defense to open up, then they start fighting a little bit, start strangling Odell Beckham, but the offense, I felt like they moved the ball. And it's interesting to me, Jarvis Landry got a chance to eat. That old, Seals Jones
yep.
got a chance to benefit from Odell Beckham taking a lot of the defense off of him. They got a lot of things going well there. Will Odell continue to allow himself just to be the distraction, just to help out that team?
I can't imagine he'll do it too long, but you've said it before. I think Baker has kind of just like a certain energy around these guys where he can keep him happier. It's not like a guy like Eli who's so milquetoast and just isn't really ever saying anything, isn't necessarily defending him. I think Baker will know when they're almost at a breaking point, and he's like, okay, I need to let Odell eat today.
Well, they stunk a couple weeks ago, and Odell said, I have all the faith in the room. I know the guys were going to turn it around. A lot of people outside said, you know what, big personalities probably not going to be able to turn it around. Because once the bullets start flying and things bad start happening, normally that's when the big personalities head for the hills. Instead, Odell Beckham has one of his best friends in the locker room with him in Jarvis Landry, and hopefully that'll keep him maintained. And for the Cleveland Browns in the dog pound, excitement is back in Cleveland all of a sudden, just like it was in the offseason. And on the flip side, the Baltimore Ravens, have they been figured out? Do people know how to stop this Lamar Jackson offense that will look like it was a world beater week one? I don't know. It sure looks that way. You stop Hollywood Brown, it appears as if you stop the Baltimore Ravens. You stop the run, you stop Hollywood Brown. It appears as if that's how you stop the Ravens, and that's what the Browns did. But it's hard to go into Baltimore and get a win on the road in the AFC North, especially with all the drama happening around the Cleveland Browns. I like that Browns team all of a sudden. And their defense looked good.
Yeah.
Had a big-time game. Good for them.
Yeah, I mean, the score makes it look a little bit closer than it was, 40-25. I mean, they beat the hell out of them. They did. They dominated that game from start to finish. And, I mean, not a lot of people are saying it, but is Lamar Jackson, is he overrated?
As hell.
Is he overrated as hell? I mean, I think that's what we need to be talking about today.
Well, the interesting thing is I was pushing hard for Lamar Jackson after that week one. He had a perfect passer rating. It's hard not to fall for it there. You're like, you know what? This guy who was just given the keys to an organization, keys to a franchise, Harbaugh said, we're going to change our offense up so that Lamar Jackson is our guy. Add some tight ends, ground and pound. We'll draft this electric kid from Oklahoma named Hollywood Brown that'll open things up. In that first week, he came out and it was like, you know what? Did they change football? Did Harbaugh change football?
We got something here.
We got a guy. We got a guy that can throw the ball. He had 20 passes, perfect passer rating. The Ravens are back. The Ravens are back. And then all of a sudden you have to go now, wait a minute, are they? I don't know. Time will tell. Looks like the Browns are securely in the driver's seat of the AFC North, which has a massive showdown tonight on Monday Night Football. Da-da-da! Da-da-da! Monday Night Football is a dud bowl this evening as the Cincinnati Bengals and Andy Dalton, who were once a pretty decent football team in the AFC North, have fallen on very hard times. The Bengals are now tired sleepy cats traveling to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania with a team with no quarterback and no weapons.
I couldn't think of a game I would want to watch less than this one tonight, to be honest with you. I mean, I know it's early in the season, but for Christ's sake, can't we flex something else into this? The only people that care, people in Cincinnati don't even care about this game, I don't think. I mean, we know the Steelers fans are going to watch it no matter what, but, I mean, come on.
The Steelers fans are hate watching at this point. The Steelers fans are absolutely hate watching because everything they wanted happened. Right? Everything they wanted happened, and then Tommy John shows up out of nowhere for their quarterback. But there has been precedent for the Pittsburgh Steelers. 1976 or 1978 with Terry Bradshaw at the helm, who, by the way, was a backup quarterback to the Duck Dynasty guy. People forget.
Oh, that's right.
So Terry Bradshaw had been through adversity in the past. He had to go behind a guy who lives out in the woods literally and shoots down ducks. He couldn't start past him. But so Terry Bradshaw, used to adversity, gets in there. They start out 1-4 or something like that. They make it to the AFC Championship. The Colts just last year were 1-5. So yes, one of these two teams can turn it around. But boy, if they're playing football like anything they played football in the first 3 weeks, this should draw at least a .04 rating tonight on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, I mean, crazy to think that you get rid of all your best players and you're not as good as the year before. I mean, it's a wild thought, but here we are.
The Pittsburgh Steelers fans, man. They're the best group of humans. And my parents are back on board, by the way. My parents are now back to being Steelers fans.
Really?
Yeah, they weren't. They've been diehard Steelers fans my entire life. Then when I get drafted, they actually say, like, the Steelers could have drafted you. They chose not to.
Mm-hmm.
So we're literally, our fanhood is being bought by a team in Indianapolis, which I appreciate it because blood is thicker than water.
That's right.
As soon as I retired, though, those McAfees couldn't wait to get back into the steel curtain. They could not wait to get back in there. And I think now they're living and dying with it. And speaking of Colts, I don't know what the hell happened yesterday. That Raiders team looked incredible. Eric Ebron had a couple drops, which Evan Foxy says that is going to be the norm. Is that what you're saying, Foxy?
Yeah, I've seen it before. It's just a shame. Colts fans don't deserve it. They really don't.
Eric Ebron tweeted and said it will never happen again. He apologizes. He keeps it moving. I still like the Colts, even though they had a little bit of a hiccup here against the Oakland Raiders, who are on a road trip to England. They're not going to be home for another week. So it almost seems like it was a Camp Anawana situation for the Oakland Raiders, where they moved the entire home over to Indianapolis, and then they traveled out. It's almost like they had no shot at all. We'll talk about more with the Colts. We'll talk more about Daniel Jones being William Wallace. I can't wait to dive into that. And on the other side of this break we're about to get to, Kyle Brandt of Good Morning Football is here. He got a chance to talk to the Genesis halftime show performer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Sash. I was on the same elevator as him coming up here. Kid is littered with personality. Probably going to... What are you laughing about, Ty?
Yeah, I mean, he is. He's electric personality. We saw him. We rubbed shoulders with him earlier. I mean, he's just bursting at the seams to get words out of there.
That kid was tough. But I think his music makes bangers, you know?
Yeah.
Some people aren't as outspoken when they're not on a microphone, you know?
Right. His rhyme scheme is crazy, too.
The Genesis halftime show is a good one tonight. And I say that, I mean it. That song is a banger, but him and his group of friends might have been a little tired this morning. They were tough to deal with in that elevator. We'll be back on the other side. You're listening to the Pat McAfee Show. Gotta wait 10 seconds for station identification.
Sure, yeah. Inbo. It's pretty groovy.
Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show here on Westwood One Radio and worldwide on DAZN.
Hey.
Worldwide, wide. Incredibly relaxing tones there in the background. Shout out to Foxy and Zito and everybody in the control room.
Who is this, Sash?
Great question. This is not Sash. The Genesis halftime show tonight will be Sash from, if I'm being told accurate information in the elevator.
Yeah.
The man who just asked the question of, is this Sash, is a man who just interviewed said character musician Sash, the host of Good Morning Football, a television show that has revolutionized how morning football talk shows are. He started with Jim Rome. He was an incredible producer. Now he's amazing in his own right. You need to know the name, ladies and gentlemen. Wearing a backpack in the studio, not sure what's in it, Kyle Brandt.
Hey, what's going on?
Kyle Brandt.
The backpack is for the face of New York sports right now, Daniel Jones. That's how he shows up to game day in the LL Bean, the khakis, and the backpack. Did you see the shot of him rolling into the stadium?
Oh, yeah.
It's so perfect. And it's like, if you could undo the backpack, there's definitely OAR tickets in there. There's
I said, oh,
all
you
day.
Said, I said revolution.
He's gonna see him live. Yes, love him. But who knows what else? Girlfriend Taylor gets a present in there. Her golden retriever Scout, a bone for him. Whatever it may be. It was like I said it last week. Daniel Jones has the dukest face of all time. Like Daniel Jones makes Christian Laettner look like he's in the Wu-Tang Clan. It's unbelievable. I've never seen it, and he's the face of the New York Giants.
Okay, Christian Laettner, super Caucasian as well.
Yes, very.
Something to think
Bobby
about.
Hurley.
Let's go right into this. Let's
Okay.
go right into Daniel Jones.
Okay.
I said this morning on Get Up, and I thoroughly believe it. Daniel Jones has a little William Wallace in him, okay? When you need to rally the troops and whenever you need a locker room to believe in you, you need Daniel Jones. And let me tell you why.
I like this.
Whenever he started, everybody was like, doesn't matter how Daniel Jones does, that defense absolutely stinks. Whenever he was getting the win against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they said, oh, he scored too quickly there. Don't let Jameis Winston and Bruce Arians march down that field because your defense stinks. And the only thing that the Giants defense has done since he has become starting quarterback, produced 5 turnovers, 0 whenever Eli was quarterback. The QBR of the opposing quarterback is down 50% since Daniel Jones has gotten in the game. So whenever you know you have a guy leading the offense, it completely changes everything. Daniel Jones is in there giving war cries. He's like, listen, not now, not this year. We don't stink no more. I have my backpack on. I have my OAR tickets. And when we get the ball, we're going to score for you. Do you agree?
I do, and it's like he also, William Wallace, like he had that cool red bearded sidekick.
Yeah.
That was Saquon. Like Daniel Jones lost his sidekick, but you know what the test is, my friend? The test is in 2 weeks they play the Patriots. William Wallace beat the English.
Yeah.
Could Daniel Jones beat New England?
Yeah.
Like it's all coming. Can he consume them with fireballs from his house and bolts of lightning from his ass?
Yeah.
I'm bouncing. We're talking
Yes.
about Scottish Daniel Jones.
Yes.
Yes, I like it.
I like him too, but boy, that Redskins team is terrible.
I think they might be worse than the Dolphins.
I think so too.
During the highlight today, I said I think that they would lose to the Josh Rosen Dolphins or the Fitzpatrick. They're that bad. You think?
I think so.
That's tough to say now because the Chargers literally had, I think they only had 4 skill players dressed. That's why Melvin Gordon dressed. Everybody's like, oh, they're dressing Melvin Gordon. They're going to ball.
didn't
No,
play.
the Chargers literally have 0 players that are that have the ability to be active, and they still won by 20 over the Dolphins. That Dolphins team is elite suckness right now. I mean, they are a different level of suck, but the turmoil into dysfunction in that Redskins organization is next level. Dwayne Haskins' body language is disgusting, right? I talked about this. It is absolutely, even on draft night, his body language was disgusting. He was charging people to get in there and watch the draft with him. I like a good businessman, but everything's just been bad. The first couple weeks when Case Keenum's starting, he's not even near him to learn and watch and anything like that. Not that Case Keenum is Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady, that you should be taking everything he does, but even in his bad time, you could probably learn a lot. And then last night, yesterday, and now granted, you only know what the TV shows you.
Sure.
They showed him on the sideline, and everybody else around him had an iPad. What is that thing?
The Microsoft Surface.
Sorry, not an iPad.
Surface. You can't scratch it.
That's what they say.
That's what they
It's
say.
better than an iPad.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. Melinda Gates, thank you.
But everybody around him had one except for him.
He
Right?
didn't have the Surface.
It's just everything looks bad. But I think I was judging him too hard because now you're hearing these stories about how the coaches are literally leaking that they hate him.
Yeah.
Like the coaches are like, listen, off the record, they're telling these media people, like, sounds like Hugh Jackson back there, by the way. Off the record, we all hate Dwayne Haskins. We don't want him in there. Go ahead and read, or go ahead and write that. Just don't say it came from me. So then they're writing, coaches hate Dwayne Haskins. Front office loves him. Do you think Dwayne Haskins has any chance in this Redskins organization? I mean, it looks like they are set up for failure forever as long as it continues to run the way it runs.
Pat, let me ask you about your organization for a second, because the way you were gesturing just brought me to this point. Less accurate right now. Dwayne Haskins or that caricature of your face on the monitor? Who is that guy? Is that CT from the real world? Who is that?
For those that aren't watching at home, that are just listening, our particular logo has the Pat McAfee Show with my face on it. This is on the side of a truck that we drive around.
True?
Oh, yeah. This thing is everywhere. And this is actually the 3rd edition, and it was created hours before we went live on the last day.
There were 2 that were scrapped prior to that?
Oh, yes.
What did those look like?
One looked like Baker Mayfield, and then the next one kind of looked like a mix of you two, right?
Yes.
There, actually, a tie and Kyle.
Remember when Brady was in court and they did the chalk sketch of him? And they said, why is Theon Greyjoy sitting in for Tom Brady? What is that?
We got that artist.
Is that true? Well, you nailed it. Look at the Pat McAfee Show on DAZN. Look at you. All gummy and everything. You're much better looking than that.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot. That is a tough-looking me there, but to be honest, my face is not what we're here for.
Is that true? Your takes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, takes on takes, take land.
You're a next door neighbor on this floor. You know, you are like the cool neighbor who has parties next to Good Morning Football.
Well, the funny thing about that is our party, if it was to be judged strictly by the things that we're allowed to have inside of it, like the green room, for instance, it would be 1/8 of your guys' green room. We actually take your bagels, cut them in half, and put them on our side. That happens.
We get the table scraps from you guys.
And like Schrager took a bite out of it, and that's what you guys get?
Yeah, pretty much.
Is Good Morning Football always here?
No, it's been like 5 different places, but it's been here for a year. We started in the West Side, and then we were in Times Square. Now we're here, but we move a lot.
They thought your show was going to get canceled.
It's possible, yes.
Originally?
It probably should have been, yeah. We're a miracle, walking miracle.
Yeah, but right now you guys have found nothing but success. It's a great morning show. I enjoy watching it.
Thanks, man. People seem to like it. I don't get too caught up in ratings or any of that stuff, but people like it. It's a dangerous place to be the thing that people like, but maybe the ratings aren't robust. Then you get like freaked and geeked sometimes. You know what I mean? There's a lot of shows like that.
Oh, with analytics and stats, because you guys probably crush on the internet, I'd assume.
Yeah, I mean, the Twitter stuff is good. And Mondays are, like today's show, it's just highlights for 3 hours. It brings me back to when I was a kid and I would watch Web Gems with Charlie Steiner or whatever it was. Highlights are undefeated. Nobody ever turns off highlights. So we just do that for 3 hours and we crack pop culture jokes. It's awesome.
Yeah, Nate Burleson raps.
Sometimes, yes.
He got a chance to meet Sash, who's the Genesis half. You just got a chance to meet him. Did you get his autograph?
Sash came in the studio. No autographs. There's no autograph policy for Sash. It's like meeting the Pope. No. He's the Genesis halftime tonight? I didn't know that.
I don't know.
That's what we've been told.
We've been told that by one of his 7. He had 7 to 8 people with him. We were crammed into an elevator with him. And it was almost like a Prince situation. Like I talked to him and almost felt like I should have asked one of his friends if I could talk to him.
Yes.
But I think Sash makes bangers.
I think he does too. The problem is that Genesis halftime show's a tough gig because people want to hate it. Like it could be Radiohead or Foo Fighters or Jay-Z. Like sucks. People hate it before it starts.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't spend a lot of
especially-
time with it, but Sash is a tough gig.
Especially
Yeah.
tonight with Bengals Steelers. I mean, people are going into this game tonight excited to burn it down.
They are. It's a hell of a matchup, isn't it?
Who you got?
Tess and Boog and Sash. They should bring Sash into the booth. Why not, right? Sash had some takes today.
No, he didn't.
He liked Daniel Jones, kind of. We tried to get it out of him.
He didn't talk. He didn't talk at all.
He has the voice of an angel. I can tell you that.
Yeah, but
His
you
voice-
didn't hear it.
Not much. No, we played the song going. It's called "Made Like a Champion" or something.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
good. Just that, nothing says champion better than Bengals. Who is it tonight? Bengals.
Steelers.
Steelers. Yes. Were they 0-6 combined?
Yeah. But some team is going to get off the schneid and get a big win tonight, and that's
get to
something.
1-3.
Yeah, it's in the AFC North.
That's right.
Which is it? Baker Mayfield's AFC North right now.
Yeah.
You think?
I took the vow back in July. I said this is what's going to happen. The thing's going to start terrible, and either he and Odell are going to scream at each other, or he's going to have some bad Twitter episode, or Freddie Kitchens going to suck, and everyone's going to jump off. It just took 1 week. The loss to the Titans, they're like, ha, you guys suck. I took a vow. I'm standing by him. I still believe in him because I actually think Nick Chubb right now is their best player. He's incredible.
Absolutely incredible. And Freddie Kitchens had to go cook in the kitchen and figure out a way
That's
to get
what I'm
him
saying.
the ball.
You know what? I'm glad you brought that up, Pat. I took another vow that obviously you didn't. That when they hired Freddie Kitchens, I'm not going to make any kitchen-related puns.
Why?
Because Burleson makes all of them, and they're so easy, especially since, like, when they started off, even the Browns didn't have clean lines, and they didn't have an open concept. Like, it was like a bad kitchen. Nate makes all of them. So I took a vow not to make any. You obviously did not.
No, I don't
A lot of
take-
Kitchens puns?
No, I don't take vows. The only thing I take vows about is if somebody draws my face, it doesn't look like me. so I can say, look, I'm better in person than I am on
They
the
took
side
a
of the
vow
club.
to make the host the guy from Sum 41, and they did it. There he is. You're in too deep, Pat.
I don't know who that is.
Nah, he looks kind of like that guy.
Your take on the NFL right now? We're in a good spot, I think. Each week, now granted, there's been blowouts, which isn't normal because like 85% of games are normally one-score games, so there has been some blowouts. But man, that Bills-Patriots game yesterday, you're just talking about there is a chance really for good football here for the rest of the season. I'm excited about it.
Today, my take on the whole NFL, I didn't know this was the case, but I stumbled into it. Today is Moral Victory Monday. There's a lot of that going around where people are saying, yeah, well, look, the Lions, they played really well. They almost won. And the Bills almost beat the Patriots, which I just think is so unbelievably pathetic. It drives me crazy. And these Lions fans are saying, why aren't you talking more about how well we played? Because you lost. Because you were at home and turned it over a bunch of times. You should have beaten Mahomes. You had him, and you blew it.
Ty?
Yeah, I mean, there's no such thing as a good loss in the NFL. Well, I mean, sometimes there is.
No, there isn't.
But the Lions, that definitely is not one of them. You got to win that football
And
game.
the Bills?
Nobody's going to remember that the Lions held the Chiefs up against the ropes. In like 3 to 4 weeks from now, nobody's going to be like, oh, you remember when Matt Patricia and the Lions had him up against the ropes there, and then they fumbled on the goal line and gave up 100
one's gonna remember that.
No one's going to remember that.
Is anybody going to remember that, oh, man, the Bills' defense was really good and Brady didn't play well and they almost won with Matt Barkley? No, they're not. You got to win the game. Brady played one of the worst games of his career, and they lost at home to him. That's terrible.
Blocked punt, by the way, to the house, which was an outsmarted situation, by the way.
I want to ask you about this. What's your take? Let me hear.
Oh, so the Buffalo Bills, their gunner was left unblocked, right? So there was a 9-man box with the New England Patriots. So the New England Patriots must have seen something in film on the Buffalo Bills that whenever you get a 9-man box, which means you're leaving one of the gunners unmarked, that they don't bring down their gunner to add the block. Some people will bring down the gunner to add protection, or it's the punter's right to throw the ball straight to the wide open person. We did this in Jerry World. I threw it to Dewey McDonald. He dropped it, but the person came hot off the edge, so he was left uncovered. We threw it, but forever and ever after that, no team will bring somebody off because they know that I could throw the ball to the gunner. So with the Buffalo Bills, they apparently had never shown that they would throw it. They showed that they would never bring the guy down there to block, and they just got outsmarted. The left wing on film, I think during the game, was circled for not picking up his block. But if you watch the Buffalo Bills punt team, they went to zone, which means they're supposed to pick up 2 people. And the guy did the Holy Cross method where he just opened his arms up like this, dude, boom, bang, boom, touchdown, Matthew Slater, greatest gunner in the history of football. It's just a classic outsmarted situation. So for everything that the Buffalo Bills did right on defense, and everything they did right, not letting Tom Brady just Tom Brady the hell out of them. They just couldn't pick it up in that third phase of special teams. They get outsmarted by Belichick. And that's why, in my head, yesterday's game was, if you can't beat the Patriots then, when can you? It's just you can't. Because if the offense stinks, the other 2 sides of the ball will pick it up. That defense is not being talked about enough. Everybody's talking about the Chicago Bears defense. Nobody's talking about the Patriots defense. It was awesome to watch their special teams win them that game, though, which I think
I'm so
they did.
glad you're all over that because we ran the highlight a million times this morning. I wanted to pause it on the punt because tell me, is it not incumbent upon some special teams captain who's on that punt team to see that the gunner is uncovered and to call bingo or alert or something, and you have to throw him the ball?
So
it's wide
either,
open.
It's either directly on the punter.
He's got to do
Who
it.
sees it, or the PP, the guy who's making the cadence, who is
Personal
normally
protector.
5 yards. Yes, there you go, 5 yards behind the ball. It's either his job to bring the gunner down, like, hey, need you
Get
to
in
pick
here,
up.
we need to help.
We need to help, or it's his job to be like, give a little ass pat or something, like, hey, throw that ball out there. But they're also backed up in their own end. So you got a lot of coaches that are scared to do it, right? Because if he throws that ball to somebody that's not used to catching the ball and they drop it, that's a touchdown the other way for the New England Patriots. A la what happened to us against the Dallas Cowboys. When I threw it to Dewey, we dropped it. All of a sudden, the Cowboys now have the ball on the 18-yard line. They went on to win by 50. And a lot of people would point at that exact moment to be the roll of the tide there whenever it all changed.
That's the right play. He just didn't catch it.
play, yes.
Pat, if you're that punter, that Bills punter, and you're like, oh my God, the gunner's uncovered, aren't you dying to get the ball so you can throw it to him?
If you watch
That guy's gotta throw it.
If you watch back the Cowboys rep where I threw it, as soon as I saw that guy come, you see me like step up a yard almost. I'm like, well, here we go. This has been all those years of backyard football in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, all the pickup football that you played at college, all the scout team quarterback you ran. Now is your moment to deliver a dime in Jerry World on primetime television because a defense thought you couldn't do it. That's basically what the defense is saying, by the way.
McAfee's not going to make that throw.
They're not going to make the throw. They're scared to do that. They're scared to do anything. That's what the Patriots said to the Bills yesterday, and they were. And they got a touchdown out of it, which ended up being the difference in the game.
Matthew
also-
Slater's first ever touchdown ever. He never had one. It's pretty
He
cool.
deserves it.
I wouldn't mind seeing the punter sling it a little bit because, on the other hand, I mean, Josh Allen stinks at quarterback.
Good idea.
Good H-back, good tight end maybe. He is a terrible quarterback.
Yeah, that was really bad. That was this whole I always refer to at holidays. You know how you'll have there's the grown-up table where they got scotch and roast beef, and then there's the kids table where it's graham crackers and juice boxes and everything. The Bills were just escorted back to the kids table and given some dinosaur-shaped chicken fingers by the Patriots. I hate it.
I still think the Bills are a very good team, though. I still think they're going to do. Now, granted, with Matt Barkley at the helm, I'm not exactly sure. I think he's proven a lot. Josh Allen not proving to be an incredible quarterback, but I think he has something that can win them some games. But that defense is very good. I don't know what's going to happen, but that is a game where we asked last week who is more likely to win in the undefeated matchups. The Lions over the Chiefs or the Bills over the Patriots. The poll of the people that we put out, over 15,000 votes. The poll of the people said the Bills are more likely to beat the Pats than the Lions are to beat the Chiefs, strictly because everybody hates the Patriots.
100%.
If we go straight by scores, we were right.
Yeah.
The Lions were more likely to beat the Chiefs, but neither team got the win, which is exactly what we thought. We move on to another week. The Patriots, Chiefs still undefeated and keep it rolling.
The storyline we all want as consumers of the NFL, we want to see the Patriots era end, just because it'd be fascinating. I like them, but to see that domination, the AFC East end, that's something to talk about, to sink our teeth into here. And is it going to be one of these Josh Allen, Josh Rosen, or Sam Darnold? Those aren't going to be the guys. Those aren't the King Slayers. It's not happening.
Josh Allen, Josh Rosen, Sam Darnold.
Those are the guys? Come on.
That's the division
They're
right
the
now.
end of the empire?
Yikes.
Get out of here.
Tom Brady's eating his avocado ice cream, his weird chocolate,
Petting his hairless cat, whatever he's got.
talking to Guerrero.
That's it.
He's like, do you see around the division right now? I'm going to play until I'm 50. Absolutely, I'm going to play until I'm 50. Do you see these teams that they're stacking up around us?
Yeah.
I mean, the one guy gets mono. I mean, who does that? Then Josh Allen gets concussed out of nowhere because he is an athlete. A lot of people, Bills players were not happy about that.
I know they were pissed off.
They were talking about how that guy, there's no place in the game for that. I think that was a victim of circumstance there on both sides. I think John Jones, I think his name was.
Something. Justin Jones. I actually don't remember his name.
Jay Jones.
Yeah, JJ.
Mr. Jones.
Yep.
Mr. Jones.
Counting Crows. Exactly right.
He was kind of bad position there because the guy was taking Josh Allen down, and Josh didn't slide.
Yeah.
Josh was trying to make a play, and he just he didn't lead with his helmet like Vontez Burfict. He kind of did a shoulder thing there. So I respect the overreaction because it's your guy, your franchise quarterback. But for me, that was nowhere near like a disgusting, volatile shot.
Slow-mo special.
I don't even think the hit was what really gave him the concussion. It was his head bouncing off the turf like a basketball. I think that's what
tough.
I think that's where the
And they have no NBA team in Buffalo.
No,
But
exactly.
Mr. Jones also did a little bit of posturing afterwards.
Yes.
He hit a little flex, and that optic is never good in slow-mo.
Which, just for future reference, I've never hit somebody like that.
Right.
I mean, I had one hit, but I was probably concussed as well because I led with my helmet on.
I remember that play.
On Trenton
On the
Holiday.
sideline, right?
Yeah.
On Trenton Holiday, who's like 4 for 3. That's the guy you hit?
He's an Olympic sprinter. I would hit your ass too if you were there.
Of course. I have a giant head. I'm easy.
Yeah, me too. But I didn't get a chance to flex there. I have a couple of regrets. I wish I jumped over the Oakland Raiders middle linebacker during a fake field goal. Instead of trying to hit a spin move on him, I should have just jumped right over top of him.
remember that.
That is a regrettable move by me. And the other one is that I didn't flex on the sideline in front of Peyton Manning's big-ass head and John Fox right there on the sideline.
It was on the Broncos sideline, not the Colts?
right in front of John Fox.
Oh, that would've been
then,
so good.
Yeah, it was incredible. Eric Decker was over there celebrating. I mean, it
Was
was
he?
good. Yeah, it was a good moment.
Handsome man.
Very handsome.
Very handsome.
I'm happy he's done with football, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think he wrapped it up. He and his wife have a whole thing going, their reality show or something.
What I've learned from those guys that have reality TV shows, once you start seeing some money from somewhere else, it's hard to want to go out there and just get crushed unless you're Tom Brady
Yeah.
or something along those
Well, yeah, I
lines.
mean, like Cutler, he gets paid to look at his deer stands on TV. It sounds great.
Hey, Cutler was murdered by the media, probably you included.
Sure.
You guys probably buried him for a long time, and now he is shining as a human that people want to hang out with.
Isn't that amazing?
Smoking Jay Cutler used to be the joke of everything. Like, oh, this guy doesn't care about his team. He doesn't care about anything.
Bad body language.
Oh, yeah, bad body language like Dwayne Haskins. And then you watch this reality show, you're like, this guy's the best human on earth.
It's true. The only bigger comeback, I think, was in this city and was A-Rod. A-Rod became like this darling who's married to Jennifer Lopez and was a pariah. People didn't want to talk about him.
I don't want to dive into it because I don't like to promote anything that's bad. But that Screwball documentary, I guess, is pretty bad for old.
Doesn't look great for A-Rod.
That's why I won't watch it.
But he's addressed all that stuff, so it's kind of like whatever. But yeah, he doesn't come off great in that.
Did you watch it? Mm-hmm. Because you're a big baseball guy.
Yep.
What is it about the
Yankees
roids and
guy.
all that stuff?
Yeah, it's all about Balco.
Is that true?
Yeah,
the dude who did Cocaine Cowboys did it.
Really?
Yeah.
I once heard there was a report about A-Rod and his usage where someone advised him, allegedly, that when you're doing a urine test, don't capture the beginning of it. Capture midstream, not beginning and not end, because it's different. And I'm like, that is so disgusting and so insipid that they would get that deep into it, but that's apparently the depths the thing went.
Yeah, it's how you beat a drug test.
Kyle,
What?
you said it's disgusting?
Yes. We're talking about pee. Yeah.
I would argue that I probably know like 14 to 15 guys that tried that method out.
yeah.
whenever
Oh, that's
they were-
common knowledge?
Oh, yeah.
Well, when the annual test comes
sure.
out, right? So it's annual tests for the NFL. It's an annual street drug test.
Okay.
So once you get tested one time, you're clear for the rest of the year. And everybody knows that it's literally between April 20th, 4/20, the NFL is hilarious, and the first week of training camp. Once you get tested in that batch there, you're clear forever. Some guys don't get clean for that 4/21 because they don't expect to be on the first group.
Right.
And they're like, your name gets called out by the trainer. You've been selected for your annual drug test. Whenever my name was called, literal celebration from the rest of my teammates. Like, congrats, Pat. Like, thank you, man.
Oh, that's
I
awesome.
would even get comments from the coaches like, Pat, we good? You good? yeah, we're all good. This is actually really good as well. Congratulations.
This is
I'm
going to be a good one.
yeah, thank you. I'm like, yeah, we're all good. But some of my teammates, right, would be like, oh man, I'm
screwed.
like a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks out.
Not
and
enough.
then the common answer was
Midstream?
get the midstream pee. Yeah, not the
Is that
beginning.
a wives' tale? Does it work?
I have no idea. I've never had to do it personally. I've never had to do that, but that is something that is talked about very well. So the fact that you were just like, oh, disgusting.
Yeah,
I'm like,
okay.
oh, well, take it easy, Kyle. I think a lot of guys are getting by their weed tests on an annual basis.
Well, if it works, God bless them. I hope it works. I find myself thinking about it sometimes when I'm urinating. This is right when I would capture it. You know, you think about things like as I'm melting the ice at a pub, you know, and I'm thinking this is the perfect stream. I'm a weird guy.
It is interesting. To have to pee in front of another human is already interesting.
Yeah.
But then to somehow act like you've missed the cup at the beginning, because that's the only way that you could possibly get in there midstream, because the guy is watching you pee.
And he knows you're pulling a midstream, right?
Yeah, he has to be
Classic
like,
midstream.
I heard about this, don't you? Hey,
Going on your record.
I know what you're doing. You better get the end of that, tail end of that pee, too.
Because if I'm not mistaken, it's to your point, it's also the end of the stream could be contaminated. Only the mid-sweet spot. So you have to start out, go in, and then re-disengage towards the end of the urination.
Yeah, it's a big deal. These drug
Damn.
tests are a big deal. I've been tested all over the country in different hotels in front of people. I mean, it's just a whole different animal.
And the person's literally standing there. There's no partition.
No,
they
no.
see everything.
Shirt to nipples,
They see your anatomy, all that.
shirt to nipples, pants to ankles. That's the rules.
So you can't use the Ontario Smith, the Whizzinator thing,
Yeah,
right?
that's why. So you have to do it, and they even give you like a little, all right, spread it real quick. All right, so anything can drop out of the old butthole.
You have to spread it quick?
Yeah, you do like a little spread thing real
Oh,
quick.
man.
I was
For
tested,
weed?
I was tested 8 times a month for 27 months.
Yeah.
And it wasn't for weed, it was all street drug tests. Because when I got arrested for the public intoxication,
Yeah.
you automatically go into the substance of abuse program. So I went in immediately, and for 27 months, I was tested 8 times a month, all over the place. So I got people in Georgia that see my dong. I got people in Vegas, Pittsburgh, California, you name it. I've been tested
No
everywhere,
kidding.
man. Yeah. And it just gets to a point where you're like, just, all right, let's do this thing, man.
Yeah.
Take off my shirt here in this hotel lobby bathroom that you just called me down.
I'm at the Radisson taking a piss. I remember when the public intoxication happened, I was working for Rome at the time, and we did like a whole riff on it.
Did you?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
appreciate
I
that.
mean, I guess you brought it
became
up.
a
I wouldn't
laughing
have
stock.
otherwise.
10:39. Got to get to a break. It really sucks, Kyle Brandt.
Just out of time.
Man, that's a shame. Your Good Morning Football is incredible. You were really good on there too.
Dude, I would love to be part of this in any way. We're always neighbors. If somebody bails on you, you lose a guest, me, Nate, or Peter will come in anytime you want.
You guys should. It's a
We're
good.
right here.
It helps me out a lot, because Ty, incredible human. I'm around him 24/7. So we
Seems
get
like a good guy.
Great
I
guy.
appreciate that.
No
From
problem.
Waterloo, Iowa. Was a big fan of Rome and you.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I am too. We can do a recurring segment called For the Brandt if you want, and I can give you takes if you
Don't
want.
try to jock my thing. 10:40 Monday, September 30th. You're listening to the Pat McAfee Show.
So now you're here again, knocking at my door. A little too late for, I'm sorry for. The lights went out 'cause you kept cutting the cord, and I started to I finally opened up my eyes, and I saw me coming back to life. That I'd be better without you inside. It's time to be someone I wanna recognize. The future starts right now. I made a reservation, but you never came, so I'm checking out. The fire you stole away, I know one day we'll come back around. The future is now. The future is now. The future is now. I waited for you in the passenger seat. There's only so far I can ride in your dreams. While you were chasing everything else but me, I'm starting to break out from your grave. See, I finally opened up my eyes, and I saw me coming back to life. That I'd be better without you inside. It's time to be someone I wanna recognize. The future starts right now. I made a reservation, but you never came, so I'm checking out. The fire you stole away, I know one day we'll come back around. The future is now. The future is now. I'm not backing down, 'cause the future is now. Not backing down, 'cause the future is now. The future starts right now. I made a reservation, but you never came, so I'm checking out. The fire you stole away, I know one day we'll come back around. The future is now. The future is now. The future is now. So now you're here again, knocking at my door. A little too late for, I'm sorry for. The lights went out 'cause you kept cutting the cord, and I started to fade into your gray. See, I finally opened up my eyes, and I saw me coming back to life. That I'd be better without you inside. It's time to be someone I wanna recognize. The future starts right now. I made a reservation, but you never came, so I'm checking out. The fire you stole away, I know one day we'll come back around. The future is now. The future is now. The future is now. I waited for you in the passenger seat. There's only so far I can ride in your dreams. While you were chasing everything else but me, I'm starting to break out from your grave. See, I finally opened up my eyes, and I saw me coming back to life. That I'd be better without you inside. It's time to be someone I wanna recognize. The future starts right now. I made a reservation, but you never came, so I'm checking out. The fire you stole away, I know one day we'll come back around. The future is now. The future is now.
Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show. We are live. here from New York City. We can't thank you enough for listening or watching wherever you may be. Kyle Brandt of Good Morning Football fame just stopped by and gave us 16, 17 minutes of incredible insight. Here's something we haven't talked about yet. Dallas Cowboys offense last night,
Stunk.
bad. Came out at halftime, thought they made some adjustments, had good tempo, got the ball moving, rolling down the field. Here we go. This is the offense we've been used to seeing the last 3 weeks. Granted, their opponents the last 3 weeks have been bad football teams.
Yeah.
Everybody thought Dak Prescott was this new passer, found his new thing. Kellen Moore is the offensive juggernaut whiz kid that everybody needed for the future. Last night, people were wondering, did they come back down to earth or did they just have a bad night in New Orleans, which is a tough place to play? I say this. I think it's going to be interesting watching Kellen Moore, who appears to be a 13, 14-year-old, have to deal with a lot of criticism that's going to come his way after struggling last night. Is Dak Prescott still going to stand by his guy, Kellen Moore, with a terrible game plan to take on the New Orleans Saints last night, while Dak Prescott is trying his absolute best to earn a massive contract from the Dallas Cowboys and Jerry Jones? Will Lutz of the Saints had a massive game, winning that one all by himself, basically, against the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday Night Football. He spelled Will with one L. He handed out another one last night. Let's call him Wee Lutz. I am a big fan of what Will Lutz did. I like that the Saints have been able to maneuver and win games without Drew Brees. Sean Payton is a smart play decision or a play drawer, playmaker, play caller, with Teddy Bridgewater's strength being a little bit shorter passes, a little bit more precision passes. Wearing 2 gloves last night. Interesting. Caught a couple low snaps. I was like, good idea there with the 2 gloves. Don't know how you get any feel on the ball with 2 gloves, but maybe that's why not a lot of quarterbacks do it. But Teddy Bridgewater's getting some wins. I think, though, that now is the time that Jerry Jones slides in like Chris Collinsworth right into Dak Prescott's agent, and he goes, listen, you want to talk about this contract now, or do we want to continue to let this thing slide? And Dak Prescott's agent's like, oh, he had one bad game. You think that that's going to persuade us away from saying he deserves a couple $100 million? Well, I'm just letting you know. One bad game can become 2. Don't handcuff me and not allow me to even give you guys any money. I would assume that Jerry Jones will start negotiating with Dak on a long-term contract, specifically now more than ever before. But I don't think it's time to call it off on the Dallas Cowboys. I don't think now is the time to lose faith in the Dallas Cowboys. That defense is incredible. I like the way the defense plays. Their special teams is solid. And if Dak Prescott and Kellen Moore could get back on the same page and make that offense a little bit hum a little bit more without a fumble, by the way. I think Zeke was down there. I don't know how they called that, and they went to review and called it still a fumble. But I don't think the time is now to bail on the Dallas Cowboys. I like the Dallas Cowboys, but I am intrigued to see how Kellen handles this criticism that is bound to come due to them being a massive team in the country.
Well, and we'll see what happens this week. They got a somewhat of a tough game. The Packers have a little extra time to prepare here. But on the flip side of that, they also have that Swiss cheese run defense. So we'll see. I mean, this could be a big Zeke game. I don't know if Dak necessarily has to do that much against the Packers.
Well, and that's what we've seen in years past, right? Is Zeke. Feed Zeke with the bowl and the spoon and the whole thing. This year, Dak Prescott wanted to prove that the team was him, mostly because going into the season, they didn't know if they were going to have Zeke. So they thought Dak would have to carry the team on his shoulders all night or every single game. Zeke comes back. He's getting back into it. I don't think that was a fumble. It's just running over in my head so many times. I think he was down. I don't know how. These refs, by the way.
Oh, my God.
The optics of these refs in the NFL and the NFL Ref Union signing a new extension right now after how horrid the refs have been, optically that is terrible. It makes it look like the refs have been holding out being good refs in their negotiation with the NFL, almost like you see how much we control the game? You see how much we can control the game? Do you want to renegotiate now? Oh, you want us to review past interferences? No, I'm so sorry. Let's go ahead and renegotiate this CBA. The optics look terrible, but I don't think it's going to change them from sucking. I think the refs are still going to suck. I think it's going to be tough. But for me, that Dallas Cowboys team, I'm not giving up hope yet, but they are going to have a tough challenge against that Green Bay defense, who before Thursday night showed up in a big way.
Right, yeah. I mean, I think the story's kind of out with the Packers defense. If they're creating turnovers and getting to the quarterback, then they're in very good shape. If they're not, teams are just going to gash them up the middle and on the edges. I mean, I don't know. It'll be interesting. And all the stuff with LaFleur, we'll see what kind of game plan he has for Rodgers this week. Because, I mean, this is a big, big game. If the Packers lose this one, a lot of people are going to jump off that bandwagon. If they win, it kind of reinforces the idea that they might be one of the teams to beat in the NFC.
Let's stay in that division. I am jumping hard on the Chase Daniels bandwagon here. I know Zito's already on it. Mitchell Trubisky goes Don, and everybody in Chicago breathes a deep sigh of relief. Okay, so he got hurt. We don't have to say it. Nagy doesn't have to say it. But now Chase Daniels steps in, and we have a defense that appears to be once in a lifetime. This defense seems generational. Now, granted, the Patriots' defense is not getting enough love. I think they're incredible. But this Chicago's defense controls game. This Chicago's defense wins games. This Chicago defense, Rex Ryan said it earlier, reminds him of the 2000 Baltimore Ravens defense that won Trent Dilfer a Super Bowl. Trent Dilfer's still getting TV jobs off of what that defense has done.
Yeah.
No defense since then has seemed to dominate games like this Chicago Bears defense. Khalil Mack, all the boys on that side of the ball control what the other teams do. Now, granted, Kirk Cousins
Stinks.
He is bad at football, but I don't think we should judge him against the Chicago Bears defense. Adam Thielen came out after the game and talked about how the pass game has to pick it up. We can't just rely on Dalvin Cook rushing for 400 yards a game. But against that Chicago Bears defense, I think it's a lot easier said than done. I think with Chuck Pagano pulling the strings, calling it after a year off of football and getting a chance to sit back and analyze and realign his love for the game, I think that Chicago Bears defense is clicking on all cylinders, and I would hate for them to waste it with a quarterback who, Mitchell Trubisky, I'm sure is a good guy. I'm sure he has a chance to be a good quarterback, but right now you can tell he's in his own head. He's overthinking things, and right now that locker room, big dongs and all, they need a quarterback that can go out there and make plays for them, and I think Chase Daniel is that guy right now. He's been a backup for 45 years for a reason. The guy can sling the ball. He's going to make mature decisions. He's going to be a veteran, and hopefully that Chicago Bears defense with him can be something good, because I love hearing Zito say, Bear Don. Attaboy, Zeke. Attaboy, Zeke. Zito, are you on the mic still?
Yes, sir.
When Mitchell Trubisky went down, how did you feel?
He went down, but I knew Chase Daniel would come on in and just tear it up.
See, all of Chicago, there's no loyalty to Mitchell Trubisky.
Yeah.
They see what everybody else sees. They see that that defense is unbelievable. They see that that defense put Mitchell Trubisky in an incredible position to score last week. That's why he had 3 touchdowns. They see that they finally might have a kicker, even though he has a pinched nerve in his knee somehow, which I never heard of.
Very painful.
They see that they have a team that potentially has all the building blocks for success again in the Midway. They are the monsters of the Midway. They would not want Mitchell Trubisky to get the Cody Parkey treatment and be the reason why they don't make the big play. I think everybody's happy that Chase Daniel gets a chance to step in here and make plays, so they don't have to hate Mitchell Trubisky forever.
Yeah, I agree. I think the sentiment is kind of coming around in Chicago that, hey, Trubisky, the guy's probably a stooge. Probably a stooge out there.
I will say, though, we just adapt and we thrive at all times, no matter what quarterback we have.
Who?
We always do. That's all we do here.
Well, you also score 16 points. I mean, the defense is responsible for a lot of that, and you don't have to worry about scoring a lot of points in a game like that because Kirk Cousins is possibly the worst quarterback in the history of football.
Every quarterback we've played, though, they're just the worst quarterback, though.
Well, Rodgers is pretty good, but outside of that.
When I say this,
Last game, though.
I think the Bears are going to make a lot of people look bad. I think that Bears defense is next level. I just don't want them to waste it with a mediocre, talented quarterback. Learn from that 2000 Ravens team. If they would have had a good quarterback like Joe Flacco, I'm sorry. Instead of Trent Dilfer, imagine how great that team could. We're talking about one of the all-time great teams in the history.
Yep.
But instead, you always say, you can win with a great defense. You don't have to have a good quarterback. Remember Trent Dilfer. That's what you always say. Chicago doesn't need that with Mitchell Trubisky. Like, remember when the Bears won with Mitchell Trubisky, Chase Daniel has a chance now. We'll see how that goes. Wrapping up hour 1. I think we talked about everything we needed to talk about.
Pretty much, yeah.
What do we not talk about?
I think we covered everything there is to talk about in that hour.
We're like a real sports show all of a sudden. We got graphics, we got takes, we got topics, we got guests, and we got another hour for you that is only going to heat up and get better. 1-833-622-3331. Bring some heat. We'll talk to you. This is the Pat McAfee Show.
Gray, gold, your face will never be the same. Flame, bold, you'll steal the sun. When the only weapon is your name, and there won't count When the only weapon is your name, and they won't count if you don't aim. Good intentions hold us back. You should stand down. When the only weapon is your name, and they won't count if you don't aim. Good intentions hold us back. You should stand down and let me attack. When the only weapon is your name, and they won't count if you don't aim. Good intentions hold us back. You should stand down and let me attack. When the only weapon is your name, and they won't count if you don't aim. Good intentions hold us back. You should stand down and let me attack. When the only weapon is your name, and they won't count if you don't aim. Good intentions hold us back. You should stand down and let me attack. Face old, your father's calling you from the porch. Name, so make the code. Gray, gold, your face will never be the same. Flame, bold, you'll steal the sun. When the only weapon is your name, and they won't count if you don't aim. Good intentions hold us back. You should stand down. Hey, oh, hey, ooh, hey, oh, hey. Shame, control, like a cage behind deep dark eyes. The games unfold, you've won. Take your soul, let it grow without a show. Make the golden run. When the only weapon is your name, and they won't count if you don't aim. Good intentions hold us back. You should stand down. When the only weapon is your name, and they won't count if you don't.
It's the perfect occasion for a mental vacation from the heart of the nation. Not your medication, 2 hours of magic. Let's give it a go. Ladies and gents, it's the Pat McAfee Show. It's the Pat McAfee Show. It's the Pat McAfee Show.
Yes, it is, Chase Rice. Thank you so much for that heater. It is Overreaction Monday, September 30th, 2019. Sitting alongside Ty Schmidt from Waterloo, Iowa. Ty, how are you?
Feeling great, Pat. That was a hell of a first hour. Can't wait to dive into hour 2.
I'll tell you what, hour 1, we caught a nice flow there.
We did.
We started burying people, started giving really hot takes. We started talking stats and stuff. I mean, that's something we do on this show that no other sports show really does.
It's true.
We give takes with stats. People forget. People forget.
People forget.
Here's a take with a stat. Cleveland Browns never going to lose a football game again. That's just something crazy to think about. Just a week ago, Baker Mayfield was being called overrated as hell by a coworker of mine named Rex Ryan. Now, Rex Ryan, incredibly handsome man, great football mind, incredible teeth, good tan, love his suits. He's a guy who's been around the game for a long time, so whenever he speaks, people listen. Cleveland Browns listened. Everybody listened. It was a talking point of the week. Everybody's saying, is Baker Mayfield overrated? I said, whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa. He's only played football for 17 games here in the NFL. I don't know if now's the time to judge somebody because we're only 17 games into this thing. Peyton Manning might have thrown 45 interceptions by the time he got into his 17th game. He ended up to be a pretty good quarterback in the end of this whole thing. Maybe we should slow down on the judgment of Baker. And what did Baker Mayfield and Browns do? They walked into Baltimore, crab cakes,
And football.
That's what Maryland does. This particular year, Ravens and the Maryland play a hard, smash-mouth style of football. We got a quarterback that doesn't like to run but can. We got a couple tight ends. We got one deep threat in Hollywood Brown. You're going to come into our house with our defense, our special teams, and our offense, and you think you're going to get a win? Overrated Baker Mayfield? And that's what everybody on TV said, too. This is the game that the Browns get smashed. This is a tough opponent for the Cleveland Browns, especially after what happened last week whenever Baker was being called overrated. What did the Browns do, though? Old Freddie Kitchen started whipping in that kitchen. He said, you know what we need to do? We need to get the ball to Nick Chubb. We need to get the ball on the ground here. We're going to commit to the run, and when we commit to the run, that's going to open up the pass game. We're going to give the ball to Chubb, boom, to the tune of like 174 yards or something like that. Incredible on the ground in Baltimore, which is what you're going to have to do to beat the Ravens. Then Freddie Kitchen said, man, I got a lot of weapons. What am I going to do with them? We got the ground attack going. What are we going to do in the air? Like, well, we'll use Odell Beckham as a decoy. They're going to double team him and triple team him. Let's do this. So then old buddy Ricky Seals Jones or whatever his name is, Seals Jones, can go ahead and get loose for a couple wide open catches. Then Jarvis Landry, we can feed him a little bit. And as long as Odell Beckham Jr. can continue to put the team before me, big team, little me, continue to put the success of his team over the success of himself, I think that offense continues to be successful. Because what Odell Beckham Jr. does that nobody gives him enough credit for is he garners attention from the defense, no matter what. Rex Ryan talked about whenever he was at the Bills and they were playing against the Giants, he would motion over or rotate. He would rotate his safety over top of Odell every single time. Every time Odell was on the field, he was getting doubled or triple teamed. That's still happening today because of how explosive Odell Beckham Jr. is. We saw it yesterday. It helped out the Browns on a lot of occasion. Gave Baker a couple wide open passes. Also, Freddie Kitchens was drawing up a lot shorter plays to get the ball out of Baker's hands quicker. But as long as Odell Beckham Jr. doesn't lose his mind, because Odell Beckham likes a couple things. What's he like? He likes pizza, we learned?
Yep.
He likes dancing.
Mm-hmm. He likes his earrings.
He likes his earrings. He lost his earring yesterday, so look for him to come out with a vengeance after being strangled on a football field and losing his earring. So look for him to come out a little bit vicious next week. But he also likes the ball. He likes getting the ball because he knows he's a dynamic player. But can he switch that mindset of I am a dynamic player when I have the ball, but I'm also an incredibly dynamic player when I don't have the ball? Here's something that relates to me, that relates to Odell Beckham, that I'll try to correlate together, but won't make much sense for a lot of people. Odell Beckham Jr., whenever he was with the Giants, the more he was targeted, the less the Giants would win. Mm-hmm. The less he was targeted, the more that the other players got in, the more success the Giants had. Now, granted, they didn't have a lot of success whenever he was there. He's been looking for a team to win with, but is that type of trait going to carry into Cleveland? Let me tell you this. So when I was a young punter in the NFL, I was just trying to hit bombs. Let me hit this ball 60 yards in the air. I'll look good, probably get to fornicate afterwards with my now fiance. Let me just go ahead and have a good time here. Then I changed my punting style completely. to one that is all fair catch oriented, one that I completely eliminate the return, one that I give my team the best chance to succeed, even though I'm not going to be getting the oohs and ahs from the crowd from hitting 60-yard balls anymore. I sacrificed the 60-yard balls so I could get 47-yard balls with a fair catch every single time. I sacrificed the highlight punts that do well on the internet so that I could eliminate the returner that wouldn't affect our team, wouldn't hurt our team. So I sacrificed the big play in the punting world, which isn't that big of a play, but in our world, the bigger play for the good of the team. Is Odell Beckham going to be able to have that thought, that mature thought? Whenever I was young, probably wouldn't have been able to have me do that. As I got older is the only time it came. Odell Beckham has said, all I want is to be on a winning team. If their way of winning is him just distracting and everybody else eating, will Odell Beckham be able to continue to do that? I'm excited to see. I hope so, but boy, it sure feels like that's going to be tough, especially with a wide receiver that loves the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. And, to his credit, I guess, no one's just like you, no one's talking about how selfless and admirable that is that you're willing to do that. I mean, that's basically changing your entire outlook on your career, just like that for the good of the team.
Yeah, for the good of the team. And also, Odell's doing it right now, right? He got targeted three times in the last 16 series. Odell Beckham has touched the ball. 3 times in the last 16 series. That's not great. That is not a lot of touches for a guy who I think deserves a lot of touches. But whenever you sit him down and you say, hey, listen, whenever you're not getting the ball, though, like this is what's happening. Whenever you're coming across here, you're bringing 3 defenders that are running into each other, and old Ricky Seals-Jones is going this way wide open for a touchdown. If that type of stuff, and I assume Freddie Kitchens is handling this inside the room, but inside the meeting room, you have to let Odell Beckham know, like, hey, listen, we appreciate your selflessness right now. Your numbers aren't going to be big. You're getting paid $17 million this year. You're getting paid a lot of money. We know you're expecting a certain amount of touches, a certain amount of this. We'll try to get you the ball. We'll run little reverse passes with you showcasing how great of an athlete you are. Throwing the ball 55 yards, by the way, on a hop, basically ducking, avoiding 2 people, and throwing it right through the hands of one of his receivers. Should have been caught.
Should have been, yeah.
Should have been caught. But we'll try our best. But if Odell Beckham can continue to swallow that selfless pill and just be like, listen, I'll do whatever I can to win, that's a big deal. And I think him being in the same meeting room as Jarvis Landry is helping with that. I think Jarvis Landry being like, yeah, but dog, look what you're doing for me. Look what you're doing for this. I think that's a big deal. But how long will it last?
Well, and to your point, I think as long as they continue to go out and smack teams in the mouth, which they did on Sunday, then he's going to be okay with it. It's like, all right, well, whatever. We're beating the hell out of teams, so I can live with it. It's when you flip it around and they start losing by 2-3 touchdowns and he's not getting the ball that he's like, all right, this is ridiculous. Feed me the rock.
Hey, Freddie. Hey, Mr. Kitchens. Will you get me the damn ball? I made a one-handed grab on Monday Night Football in my stadium, basically. He got single covered one time too, by the way. I saw it yesterday during the play, and I wanted to break it down this morning on Get Up. How as soon as, if Baker ever sees him in single coverage, whatever the play is, they should just for the sake of Odell Beckham's personality, just for the sake of his moral, just the sake of let's keep Odell Beckham happy, he was in single coverage, and I thought for sure Baker was just going to be like, all right, you do whatever you got to do, because Odell is never covered. I mean, he was targeted 7 times yesterday, only caught the ball twice, but it feels like if these numbers stay where they're at, Odell's going to start asking for some things, and he should, by the way. He's one of the most gifted athletes to ever play in football.
Yeah, well, and you assume that's what they brought him there to do. I mean, they're not paying him $17 million a year to be a decoy on every play. Eventually, you're getting him because you know he can hit home runs.
All right, how about this? What if he was just a decoy? That's like you paid Darrelle Revis.
Exactly.
Nobody would ever throw towards Revis, right?
Yep.
Everybody's like, Darrelle Revis is the greatest corner in the game. He's the greatest corner in the game. Well, he's got 1 pass breakup this year. And it's like, well, is he the greatest corner in the game? Yeah, because literally half the field is gone now because Darrelle Revis is over there. It almost feels like that's what Odell Beckham Jr. is doing for their offense. It's like, all right, we're not going to be able to throw it to him because he's triple team, but with that triple team means we got everything else going on. And then as soon as you find a team that thinks they have a guy that can go one-on-one with Odell, then Freddie Kitchens has got to eat in that kitchen. He's got to be like, okay, we found a team that thinks they got Odell, now we got to eat. And I'll be excited to see if they do that. 11-11 here on this Monday, September 30th, 2019, Overreaction Monday. I think Odell Beckham and the Cleveland Browns will never lose a game again.
I mean, at this point, can you really argue with it?
Can't. Are they the best team ever assembled? Or how about the Bills? Are the Bills the best football team ever assembled? They're 1 block punt away from beating Patriots. Just like the Chiefs were one D Ford lineup away from beating the Patriots. But you hear all that thing, but. That's why the Patriots are the Patriots.
Well, and it's crazy that you can lose a game to the best team in football by 6 points with a quarterback who is just absolutely terrible. I mean, maybe a nice enough guy, but Josh, it's like when they went to draft Josh Allen. The Bills went to these different pro days and just said, hey, just throw it as far as you can. And whoever could throw it farthest, like, all right, that's our guy. Let's grab him.
T's and P's to Josh Allen's brain. We'll talk about that on the other side, too. He didn't deserve what Ty just did. I think Josh can get the job done. What they should have done is block the guy on the punt, though. Just bring the gunner in. They didn't have enough people to protect the punt. Corey Bajorquez, the punter,
Sure.
who got the punt blocked, was in the Patriots training camp. So it makes me wonder if the Patriots knew that the kid couldn't throw. So they said, we're going to bring somebody hot off the edge. We're going to leave the gunner unmarked. He's not going to be able to throw it to him, so they're either going to block us or we're going to have a touchdown. And that's why the Patriots will be the evil empire forever. Because even if you can stop Tom Brady, even if you can make them stumble a little bit out the gates, even if you can almost be down 20-0 and flip it around, the Patriots will find a way to beat you, and that's just what the Patriots do. This is the world we live in. You're going to say chess?
Yeah, I was going to say playing chess when everyone else is playing checkers.
But I would argue that if the Bills were playing checkers, they would have had that guy block. Because that's the move that's happening right now, right in front of you. I'm a checkers player. I don't know why people bash it all the time. But it does feel as if the Patriots are just 4 steps ahead. Checkmate on that ass at all times. September 30th, 11/13. We'll talk about Mitchell Trubisky and all the Bears fans being pumped that he's hurt. T's and P's to that shoulder of his, but boy, don't waste that defense on a quarterback that isn't excited to be the quarterback, which it feels like Mitchell Trubisky is kind of holding back a little bit. Let Chase Daniel earn a contract, see what they got. I think Bears fans are excited. You're listening to the Pat McAfee Show. Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show here on your Westwood One Radio or globally on DAZN worldwide. It's the Pat McAfee Show. We are currently live in New York City. We just showed an incredible shot of the Statue of Liberty. That lady is still standing out there.
Oh, yeah.
Letting you know that when you come here, this is what we are about. Speaking of what we are about, the Chicago Bears fans have a lot of questions today. What are they about? Are they about loyalty, blind loyalty to Mitchell Trubisky, a man who looked like he got in some serious pain yesterday? That tackle was nasty. But as soon as he went in, it sounded like all of Chicago, and we're in Indianapolis, so we're only a couple-hour drive.
Right.
It sounded like there was a deep sigh of relief that they no longer have to fake like Mitchell Trubisky, and now they can go on with one of the greatest defenses that has ever been assembled in NFL history. That's facts. That's not me just saying something purely because I'm friends with the D coordinator, Chuck Pagano. One of the greatest defenses in NFL history is potentially being wasted away by a quarterback that doesn't look to have confidence. Something happens. He has like the yips, it almost feels like. Mitchell Trubisky feels as if he doesn't feel as if Mitchell Trubisky can be great. He gets hurt. Chase Daniel comes in, and all of a sudden, that team just picks it up. The offense starts rolling a little bit. The defense still continues to hunt. Pat O'Donnell's hitting 64-yard punts. It feels as if the same way that the Giants felt whenever Daniel Jones came in. It was this rebirth, a new freshness of life and enlightenment. And I guess Zito says we have somebody on the phone who's a Bears fan and says, no. We still ride and die with Mitchell Trubisky. Ben, is that accurate?
Listen, Pat, I know you've been hanging out with Rex Ryan a lot, and you think it's okay to have all these slanderous hot takes about quarterbacks, but I'm here to tell you, Bears fans are not giving up on Mitchell Trubisky. He came into the season, this is like his second season in this offense, because Matt Nagy came in last year, revamped him from old John Foxy, and now he's coming in. He started off a little slow, but he played a good Packers defense. And then last week against the Redskins, you saw him pick it up for a bunch of tutters. And now this week, he was about to ball out against the Vikings, got hurt the third play. He's probably going to be out for like a month and a half. But that's okay.
What makes you think
come in.
What makes you think he was going to play well against the Vikings yesterday? What in those first two plays made you think, you know what, he will play well today, just like he played last week whenever he was gifted touchdowns by the defense?
Because Mitchie was rolling in hot after last week, and he was going to have the confidence this week, and those Vikings were going to get it handed to him. But Chase Daniels came in. He was efficient. He was good. And now Mitchie can just kind of sit back and relax and go, okay, let's watch how Chase does it. Chase didn't ball out. He had less than 200 yards. He only had a tutter. The Bears' offense only scored 16 points, but the defense got him the win. So Mitchie can just sit back, watch Chase Daniels be a veteran, be efficient.
Chase Daniels steal his job.
Hey, I mean, like, if we got to do whatever it takes.
I appreciate what Ben's saying, though. I do appreciate, because Bears fans are a loyal bunch. They're a rabid bunch. The Midway has been dying for good football for a long time. I mean, that was evident after Cody Parkey went doink doink last year.
Yep.
The reactions, Barstool Carl's video is still one of the greatest videos I've ever seen in my entire life. Natural, raw reaction to that. So I feel like they feel as if they kind of got to act as if they still like Mitchell Trubisky. But if Chase Daniel has any success at all, if these next couple weeks they rattle off some wins, now that it's his offense, by the way, now that Matt Nagy, who's a creative play caller, a la Andy Reid-esque, now that they're completely basing this all around Chase, what if Chase comes in here and dominates? If that's the case, Mitchell Trubisky, I'd like to introduce you to a guy named Mr. Wally Pipp. Wally Pipp. I don't remember the exact player that came in.
Lou Gehrig.
Lou Gehrig came in because Wally Pipp was hungover, feeling a little sick. Wally Pipp was the starter for a long time. He's like, you know what? Had a couple too many cocktails last night. I'm feeling a little bit of the beer flu. Like, oh, don't worry about it. Take the day off. Lou Gehrig will come in. Lou Gehrig's still starting first baseman right now. Wally Pipp never saw the field again. That is potentially going to happen in Chicago if Chase has any success at all. If Chase has any success at all, what makes you think Nagy's going to be like, you know what? Our defense is rolling. Now our offense is rolling. Special teams is doing well. Let's go ahead and pull Chase out. Let's put Mitchell back in, who Mitchell can by all accounts, was not feeling himself for the first couple weeks. I just think the Chicago Bears are set up for an interesting decision if Chase does well.
Yeah, I'm not so sure that when he went down with that shoulder, Bears fans weren't quietly like, "Oh God, I hope his arm just detaches from his body and we can be done with him." I mean,
Jeez,
there's kind of like a collective groan when you hear like, "Oh, he's only out for a month." Like, God damn it! I thought he was going to be out for the season.
Is that accurate, Zito? Did you guys?
Not accurate. I would never wish harm on anybody.
Well, but harm already happened. Harm already happened. Was there any thought in your mind, Viva Lazito, who says he's from Chicago, says he's a Bears fan?
He is.
Bear.
Don.
Okay, Zito. So whenever Trubisky goes down, he's hurt. Chase comes in. You're telling me your first thought was, oh, it's a real shame. Like, you didn't go like, maybe this is works out better for everybody in the long run.
I just said I hope he doesn't drop the ball, and he didn't, and he scored tutty, and I was super happy. Happy Chicago.
We have a 12-year-old talking. Zito sounds like a 12-year-old.
Well, he just said he was super happy too, so he's super happy that he got hurt.
Yeah,
and that
so
Chase
he's not
Daniels
upset.
Coming in.
Exactly. It's like when Andrew Luck retired out of nowhere, he was booed off the field because of how upset and
Disgruntled.
that the fans were.
Mm-hmm.
But now they've rallied behind Jacoby Brissett. If Jacoby was to go down right now, I think all of Indianapolis would be upset again. Mitchell Trubisky went down, and Chase came in, and you're not hearing anything today like, oh, no, we lost our guy.
No, people are hammering Miller High Lifes. You know, I mean, they love it. They love it.
Hey, Bear Don! Hey, Chase Daniels!
And no one booed, though. Like, no one was booing like how they for Andrew Luck, you know?
Well, he was injured. Andrew Luck wasn't injured. He retired.
That's very true.
Yeah, Chicago, third largest city in the country. From what I've been told, Houston.
Sometimes two.
No, it's never 2. It is actually never number 2. It's actually going to be 4 from what I've been told. I got a chance to call the Houston-Tulane game, and Houston told me that they're on that ass. They are trying to reproduce at a rapid rate down there to become the number 3 city in America. But anyways, it's good for the NFL. It's good for everybody when the Chicago Bears are good at football. That defense is a once-in-a-generation football team. I hope they don't waste it, and I hope Chase takes the ball here and runs with it for a long time. Lets old Mitchie sit back and be happy and see what happens. But I would like for this Chicago Bears team to do some damage because I don't want the Trent Dilfer Baltimore Ravens thing to happen where they're like, remember, Baltimore Ravens defense won a Super Bowl for Trent Dilfer. You don't have to have a great offense or anything like that.
Well, yeah, and I assume that, low-key, you're kind of happy. It's like, well, if this guy goes out and performs very well, then we got to give him a contract kind of like Kirk Cousins. And how are we sure that he isn't just Kirk Cousins light? I mean, you got Chase Daniel, then you can get a more team-friendly contract for him.
Because he's old.
Exactly. You still have this dominating defense that's going to be winning you most games. Like, the offense isn't what's, moving the yardstick there. It's the defense.
That is an interesting thought about the contract and everything like that. Because Kirk Cousins looked like he just went in to Minnesota with a mask on and robbed them.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it looks like.
Yeah.
Now, granted, that Bears defense is going to give a lot of people trouble. But Kirk Cousins, on numerous occasions, has figured out a way to look like an awful quarterback whenever his team needs him to. And they're paying him $84 million guaranteed or something like that. That's a lot of cash. These contracts, they're incredible for humans. They're always like, yeah, you get broken off. Yeah, you get paid. But expectations come exactly with your dollar amount. Whenever I was going through my negotiation with a general manager who absolutely hated me, despised me, everything like that, probably for good reason. I mean, it's neither here nor there. But when we were talking about the contract with my people, whoever they were at the time, and the conversation was like, well, you got to get a deal that sets a standard for the next punter behind you. You got to get a deal that sets a standard for the next punter behind you. And I was thinking, yeah, but I got to get a deal, too, where if I have a little bit of trouble for a couple weeks, I'm not automatically on the chopping block.
Right.
Like, if I have 3 weeks where I'm not hitting the ball well and I'm at a high price, everybody's going to be calling for my head. That's just what happens with contracts. So whenever you sign an $84 million deal like Kirk Cousins did, all guaranteed or whatever it is, people are automatically expecting things out of you, whether you like it or not.
Right.
I mean, that's just the way it is. And I would assume Kirk Cousins has underperformed. And I would assume if Mitchell Trubisky gets that same type of payday, people in Chicago will be like, we're paying him how much to do what? No way. No way.
I think Kirk Cousins is underperformed to the point where if they tried to trade him right now, the only thing they're getting back is like a bag of balls and a kicking tee. Like, I don't think anyone is even willing to give a draft pick for him.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, he
I don't think
stinks.
so either.
He's terrible.
He's bad, dude. He's bad. All right, let's get to our last break here. I'm going to run to the bathroom. On the other side of the break, by the way, this segment that people have been saying is the greatest segment in the history of radio and simulcast. What's it called?
People are saying.
People are saying a lot of things on this Overreaction Monday. We'll get to all of that. We'll also get to another caller, too. Shout out to Ben in North Dakota calling about the Bears. I appreciate your fanhood. I wish you would just use your brain a little bit more than your heart. You're listening to The Pat McAfee Show. some boom booms. Oh. Oh. Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show. That song's got a little boom boom in it there.
Yeah, a little bit.
Please remember we are using all copyright-free music because it costs $3 million to get real music into this thing. We appreciate you so much for listening. We just went off about the Brownies probably winning forever. A lot of people are tweeting me saying, let's not overreact about Lamar Jackson. He had a good game as well. The defense just didn't show up, which... valid point, potentially, but last week he stunk. I hope he does well because he and Greg Roman have the potential to do something awesome. But for me, anytime somebody comes into your house and wins, that falls on the quarterback and the whole team. Even though Lamar had a great game, which it sounds like he did, that does suck for the Baltimore Ravens, but I'm just all the way in on dog pound, as I have been for a long time. All right, now it's time for America's new favorite, well, I guess the Globe's new favorite segment, People Are Saying.
People are saying.
That's an incredible intro.
It really is. All right, Pat. People are saying that Vontaze Burfict should never be able to play in an NFL game again after trying to take off Jack Doyle's head this weekend.
It's not even the fact that he tried to take off Jack Doyle's head. He was trying to paralyze Jack Doyle, it looked like.
Certainly seemed like
He
it.
literally had his head down, straight spear, trying to go right at Jack Doyle's head. And the optics of Vontaze Burfict jogging off the field, waving, smiling, blowing kisses. Now, this is either his 12th or 13th time being fined or suspended. Chris Mortensen said that the league is looking into suspending him for the rest of the season. For me, this is especially tough because Greeny raised this question earlier today. Is this something that the players should come out and say, listen, we don't want this guy in our league anymore? This is a guy who has taken numerous cheap shots on people. This is a guy that, although his teammates love him, everybody else is like, hey, this guy is a dirtbag. This guy takes cheap shots. This guy is trying to clean people out. This guy is potentially going to leave Jack Doyle's of the world paralyzed if they just so happen to accidentally go across the middle. I don't know if the players should do that because I don't think the players are in that world. I don't know how the NFL is going to handle this. They're thinking about a year-long suspension, which I think duly noted, especially with his past. But for me as a player, I can respect the fact that he's an old school guy. You know, if you come across the middle against our defense, you're going to get lit up. But that's just not the game anymore. The game isn't like that. The game isn't going in and out of commercial breaks with people that are headhunting other people. The game has changed because analytics has showed us that the future of football players isn't exactly a bright one, especially whenever headshots are happening on a regular basis. Mike Webster, who's a noted incredible football player, ended up under a bridge because of a brain injury that he says, what that doctors say, happened in a football game. I think the more and more we learn about the future of the NFL players and the more and more we learn about the brain and how precious it is, the more and more harsh we should be on things like this. And if Vontaze Burfict can't adapt to the game now, I do think there's no place for him. It's like, hey, man, we get it. You're a tough guy. We get it that your teammates love you. We get it that you want to make the opposing team's life as miserable as possible. But what happens if Jack Doyle is paralyzed there, which is something that has happened in football, could have happened with that particular hit. Now what? Jack Doyle, just because he had to catch a ball over the middle against the Oakland Raiders, who just had a baby and a wife, now he can't walk forever because Vontaze Burfict, who's smiling and waving on his way out of the stadium, just refuses to learn that there's a strike zone now in the way you hit people. You can't use your helmet as a weapon. You have to use your shoulder pads. For me, it's just one of those things where it's like, come on, Vontaze. You're a good enough football player to adapt. You're liked well enough by the team that you're on. Come on, man. It's just to the point where it's like, enough. We respect that you're a hard-hitting football player, but there has to come a time where you look out for other people other than just yourself. And that's the game of football, by the way. You're putting a lot of trust in people that they're going to take care of you and live within the guidelines of the game, and it feels like Vontaze Burfict just can't do it.
Yeah, accrued $2.2 million in fines, too. You got to think at some point, when does that start to become an issue for him?
Well, if the money won't do it, and the suspensions won't do it, and the stats that show like your hits that you're laying out to people are potentially ruining people's future, what will get through? I have no idea. Him The thing that made me most mad about yesterday, now granted, Jack Doyle, good friend of mine. Jack Doyle started out as my blindside wing on the punt team before he went on to become an incredibly wealthy tight end for the Indianapolis Colts. He was just a guy that was an undrafted free agent that we picked up from the Titans, put him on the punt team, and all he did was work his ass off to where he is now. But if Jack Doyle ends up paralyzed, which it looked like could have happened with that hit, or Vontez, who's just leading with the top of his head, it's like, is it worth it? It's not. I think Vontez is athletic enough. I think he's talented enough to change the way he plays, but it just feels like he's never going to. It just feels like he's a guy that just won't get it. He just refuses to understand that this game is much bigger than just him, and although we appreciate the hits and his contribution to the game, it's like, come on, dude, get over it. I assume they're going to suspend him for the season. I think they probably have to.
Well said. All right, Pat.
Hey, appreciate it. That's a real thing, though.
Yeah, it really is.
Because it's like, come on, man. Literally, come on, man. Why would you do that? There's no Jack was already getting tackled, too. So it was just like he was like teeing off on a guy. It's like, I respect the fact that you're a football player and you have that killer instinct, just like in UFC where the guy's out cold and they still jump on top of him. But it's like you're going to injure yourself or somebody else, and we just don't need that right now.
Exactly.
The game don't need that right now.
No, they don't.
What else are people saying, Ty?
People are saying that Rex Ryan deserves absolutely no credit for fueling the Browns to their big win against the Ravens this weekend.
First question coming out the gates, by the way, after a big win in the AFC North Division in Baltimore. You go and get a win that nobody expects you to get a win, and all they say is, first question is, did Rex Ryan motivate you to get this win? Hilarious response by Baker Mayfield. No, Rex Ryan deserves no credit for this win, anything like that. But it is something to think about. I'm sure Freddie Kitchens mentioned it. I'm sure Freddie Kitchens said, look what everybody's saying. Everybody talked us up. Everybody talked about Cleveland's the team to beat in the AFC. Everybody loves us. Now what are we? Baker's overrated as hell. We're a team that's not disciplined because we have so many penalties. We're a bunch of personalities that can't come together. I can't draw plays. And they are a team that can rally around that can come together around that. Freddie already acknowledged that, obviously, to Baker. He said, if your colors aren't orange and brown, your opinion doesn't matter. So this has already been talked about. It's already been chatted about. So does he deserve credit for how they performed on Sunday? Maybe not, but I do think he deserves some credit to adding to a piece of the puzzle that was a rally cry for Freddie Kitchens to get them Browns and the dog pound back on the right path.
And you've mentioned it before. Baker's the quintessential chip on the shoulder guy, just looking to find it in any way he can. And he's kind of, I guess you could argue he's lost it because he was the first overall pick. He won the Heisman, et cetera, et cetera. But this is the kind of stuff that helps kind of, push him back to that next level.
I don't like that people mock people that have chips on the shoulder, by the way. It almost like, oh, he has a big chip on his shoulder. Like you're talked down about it. It's like, well, not everybody was handed everything in their life. Like a lot of people have been slighted. A lot of people have been screwed. A lot of people are not given opportunities that a lot of other people are given, whether you're from a different place, do a different thing. So a lot of people have chips on their shoulder, and I don't like whenever it's looked at as a bad thing. I have a massive chip on my shoulder for just about everything. I think they put terrible people on television. They put terrible people on radio. They refused to give me a chance until this year. I think a lot of kickers and punters were bad that were getting jobs and Pro Bowls ahead of me. I can find a way to put a chip on my shoulder for just about anything. I respect the fact that other people have that. Baker definitely has that. So acting as if somebody's calling you overrated as hell and that taking over the news cycle, not being a little sense of motivation, I respect it because it's a little gamesmanship, but let's assume that there's just a little piece of motivation coming from Rex Ryan's beautiful teeth and mouth on Get Up last Monday morning.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously your immense talent also helps, but I think the chip on your shoulder is partially the reason why you're in the position that you're in right now.
Baker Mayfield's chip on his shoulder is the reason why he is where he is.
Yep.
You don't walk on in two different places, go win the Heisman. It's because you've been doubted, you've been slighted, and in your eyes, everybody's against you, which, by the way, can come back to hurt you if you're Antonio Brown, for instance. There's a guy that thinks the whole world's against him, and he has a chip on his shoulder, and it's kind of spinning in a negative direction, where let's hope Baker's and everybody else's that does it is in a positive direction, because that's a big fuel. That's a big fuel for motivation is the chip on the shoulder. And I live and die by it, so that's why I respect, I think, when other people do it.
Yeah. Again, very well said.
Thank you, Ty.
Yeah.
Hey, Ty, I didn't get accepted to Harvard like you.
Well,
but sometimes my brain can pour words out of my mouth that make a lot of sense. For those listening that don't know, Ty Schmidt was accepted to Harvard, by the way. Turned him down to go to Iowa. So I don't know how many people in the history of education have ever done that, but shout out to Ty Schmidt and holding it down for Waterloo.
Go Hawks.
By the way, Carson King, the Des Moines Register tried to ruin him.
They did.
he keeps flying high like them Hawkeyes.
That's right.
Keeps flying high. Now, granted, he's
an Iowa State guy, but still, it kind of goes to show, hey, he'd rather give the money to the Iowa Children's Hospital than any programs at Iowa State. So he's got at least somewhat of a clue.
I love the fact that you just turned that beautiful moment that almost brought all of Iowa together. And you said, well, actually, it makes sense because there's nothing at Iowa State to really like.
Yeah, I mean, Iowa State fans always act like, Iowa lives and dies by what's going on with Iowa State. We don't care. Lions don't concern themselves with opinions of the sheep. And, Hawkeye State, baby. Always will be.
Well, good for Carson King, though. He's a good Cyclone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's a good Cyclone.
Yeah, if there is one, he's a good one. Yep.
Anything else people are saying, Tom?
Yeah. People are saying that if the Bills' defense would have hit Tom Brady the way Josh Allen got hit, that none of those guys would be playing in the league anymore.
Incredible thought. I heard Micah Hyde say that, where
Iowa
if
guy.
we were to hit... Is he really?
Yes, he is.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
If we were to hit 12 like that, we would have been suspended from the game, kicked out of the game. Very interesting statement, because as soon as I heard it, my first thought was, well, you never hit Tom Brady like that, because anytime Tom Brady even senses a human around him, he goes down. Just like Peyton Manning, just like Eli Manning, just like all the greats. Anytime they sense anything around them, they just go down. And sometimes it looks terrible. Sometimes it looks embarrassing. Sometimes they look like the softest humans on planet Earth because they think somebody's coming and they get down. Tom Brady actually gave out a response. He said that he wouldn't do that. That is something that he had to learn, because when he was younger, he did take a couple massive hits, and he hopes that Josh Allen will learn in this case as well. Because for this hit that Josh Allen received that gave him a concussion, knocked him out of the game, which made the Bills Mafia rely on Matt Barkley against the New England Patriots when they had the Patriots on the ropes. Nobody will remember that in 5 weeks from now when the Patriots rally off another 5 wins, that the Bills should have beat the New England Patriots, just like the Chiefs should have beat the New England Patriots last year, but D Ford was lined up offsides. But for that comment to be said, where if we were to hit 12 like that, then we would be kicked off. I respect it because you're going to bat for your guy.
Mm-hmm.
I like anytime a locker room goes to bat for their guy. But that Josh Allen hit, I think, was a victim of circumstance on both parties. I think Josh Allen was being tackled, so his level, I believe his head level, was lowered just a little bit, where John Jones, whatever his name was, Josh Jones, didn't mean to hit him right in the head. The optics of Jones flexing over top of a knocked out, concussed quarterback is not great. But for me, Josh Allen was trying to make a play and trying to run somebody over, and that hit was a bang-bang type of situation. You would never see Tom Brady in that situation.
Nope.
He's almost 50 years old. He's not trying to run over anybody at this age. He's sliding, going down. So I don't think the comparison is right. But with that being said, Tom Brady, these other gifted quarterbacks that are the faces of not only their franchise but the NFL, I would assume they get treated much better than a quarterback who has to run the way he does to be effective, who could potentially miss a throw that is very simple, who is very much an emotion guy. Cam Newton got treated like this in the day too, because Cam Newton was like, hey, I'm getting hit and you're not calling it, where these other people were getting hit. And all the rest would say, was like, yeah, but you could potentially break through that tackle and make a play. You're a different animal than these old slow whites.
Mm-hmm.
Now Josh Allen is a freak athlete, and he's trying to compare himself to old slow whites. Now, people are saying that. People are saying this. Vontaze Burfict has been suspended for the rest of the year by the NFL.
Wow.
We have some breaking news. So Mike Greenberg's question about should the NFL players step up and say, hey, you're not welcome in our league anymore, they didn't even get a chance to say anything. Old Commissioner Goodell in the NFL grabbed a hammer from Thor, slugged that thing down, hit the hell out of a table and said, Vontaze Burfict, we are sick of the way you play football. You tried to decapitate Jack Doyle. This is the 13th time you've been involved in these types of situations. That makes a baker's dozen, and there will be no more for you this year. Will the Raiders or another team keep him on their team next year? Potentially, but I think this particular year, since he's suspended, by the way, he can't be around the team. He can't be at the team facility. He's going to have to sit away. Is he going to go to a tackling guru, somebody to teach him how to play a different style of football? I doubt it. Is this the end of Vontaze Burfict's career? I think we could all argue, yes. Do I hate that that's the case? I think he could have been a great football player, but not being able to adapt to the new NFL, not being able to adapt knowing that the rules are the rules because of studies and analytics that show the health and benefit of future football players is on the line. I think this is a see you later, game's better without him.
And I think, like you mentioned earlier, if he doesn't leave the field acting like a horse's ass, blowing kisses to him and everything and almost like celebrating it, then maybe they look at it a little bit differently. But because it's like, all right, well, screw this guy. You know, he's a jerk. He's a stooge. He's a sellout. Get him off the field.
Anytime you can get a stooge or a sellout in, by the way, I like it.
I've tried to work it in a couple times today. The moments just wasn't right.
Yeah, you can't force it.
No, you can't.
You can't force a good thing there. And stooge and sellout is a good thing. But when you're talking about Vontez Burfict, you're talking about a
stooge and sellout.
I wonder what the Raiders are thinking now. Because the Raiders, if you look at their roster, by the way, they played incredible against the Colts yesterday. Colts are very banged up. When you don't have T.Y. Hilton, who's the most underrated, underappreciated wide receiver in the NFL, and you don't have Darius Leonard, and you don't have all these guys, it's going to be a tough task to get a win anyways. But the Oakland Raiders played good football yesterday. Mm-hmm. And whenever I was looking at their roster as they walked into Lucas Oil Stadium, it was funny to me. Richie Incognito was voted the dirtiest football player in the game for like 5 years running whenever he was at Buffalo. Vontez Burfict got that title like 4 or 5 years in a row as well. They have a combined decade worth of worst, dirtiest football players in the league on the same roster. You would think that maybe as you get older, you can learn not to be that. You can learn and appreciate other players a little bit. But hey, hard to teach an old dog new tricks. Vontez Burfict goes head hunting with the top of his helmet, uses his helmet as a spear, as a weapon, tries to decapitate and paralyze Jack Doyle. And now the NFL, the Shield, has said, no longer will you be doing that in our league. Get the hell out. And that's a pretty big decision by the NFL, by the way.
Yeah, and I mean, I kind of understand them trying to build like the nasty culture and everything. I just always assumed it was because Derek Carr is as soft as baby poop, but you know, maybe it was, you know, for a different reason. But it looks like it's backfiring.
Coach Gruden talking to Mike Mayock. Mike Mayock comes in and he goes, "Our team's leader is Derek Carr. He's the best soft coach. What do you think?"
Yeah, that's one horse that just I can't lead him to water. I'll tell you that. I've had it up to here with this guy, up to my eyeballs. He's a baby. He's a wuss. I'm tired of him. Get me Glennon or get me whoever the hell you got. All right, I'm done with Derek Carr.
Well, Rich Gannon isn't going to come play. We can get some tough guys though. Maybe toughen up this team. Is that what you want, Coach?
I wouldn't hate. Is Brad Johnson still available? That son of a gun can sling it like no one else. He's tougher than nails, too. Something Derek Carr should maybe learn how to do.
Rich Gannon was calling the game.
Oh, he was.
Rich Gannon was calling the game in Indianapolis, and listening to him talk about Gruden and how Gruden reacts and after games and how hard he is on his quarterback, it was very interesting because I could just see Derek Carr just having to battle with Gruden just breathing down his neck at all times.
Yeah, I just don't think they like each other.
I don't think so either. The future is not Carr and Gruden, although they got a big win yesterday. I can tell you that their future is not Vontez Burfict. The future of this NFL lives and dies with a guy named Daniel Jones. Danny Dimes, who a lot of people are saying they hate the nickname, by the way. Why? Why?
It's a great nickname.
It's a great nickname. I think it all started in the studio next to us when Schrager, who's a good guy, was like, all right, I'm out on the name Danny Dimes. And then all these other losers on Twitter think their opinion matter and tell me, oh, I'm done with Danny Dimes. Hey, Danny Dimes is a great nickname. And let me tell you what Danny Dimes does. He William Wallace's that locker room to make them better than they are. That defense was piss poor the first couple weeks of the NFL season. That defense did nothing whenever Eli Manning was the quarterback. That defense had no hope before Danny Dimes got on the football field. Since Danny Dimes has become the starter for the New York Giants, couple little quick stats and facts. Mm-hmm. The opposing team's QBR has dropped 50%.
It's a pretty big drop.
Than when Eli Manning was playing quarterback. Do you know how many turnovers they produced whenever Eli Manning was playing quarterback this year? 0. Do you know how many turnovers they produced since Daniel Jones has gotten at the helm? 5. That entire team inside the locker room has been lifted by the old Duke face, Danny Dimes. And that's something that can go beyond numbers, can go beyond stats, can go beyond the 40, even though he is an athlete and he can throw the ball well. That is something that lifts an entire organization whenever you go to work every morning and you think, we got a guy. if you look at punt returners and kickoff return teams, whenever there's a returner that can actually take it to the house, watch how they block for that particular player. Same thing's happening right now for Danny Dimes. They know that they got a guy under center on the offensive side of the ball that can make plays and win games for them. So everybody has to elevate their game. There's no more walking into the office just hoping that you get rich and make a good play. Now it's everybody believing that Danny Dimes can lead us to the promised land. We've seen nothing of this guy in the playoffs. We've seen nothing of this guy in big moments. But all we know is he shows up. He's been talked about in a bad fashion by everybody. He continues to be the same guy. And when he gets the ball in his hands, he's absolutely electric. And last week when he beat the Buccaneers, everybody was like, yeah, it's the Buccaneers, including myself. Now the Tampa Bay Buccaneers run up a 50-burger on the Los Angeles Rams. It's an entirely new world for the New York Giants. I think Danny Dimes is potentially a quarterback of the future in this NFL.
I agree, and hopefully his likeness to William Wallace stops at his motivational tactics, because William Wallace was publicly executed at the end of Braveheart.
Well, Daniel Jones was publicly executed the day after he was drafted.
That's true.
I think everybody could say that. He's back from the dead, walking out of the cave like Jesus. He's been leading the New York Giants in fantastic fashion. Now, granted, they beat the Washington Redskins, which might be the most dysfunctional football team in the history of football teams. Dwayne Haskins hates the coaches hate him. The front office wants Dwayne Haskins, nobody else does. And his body language is a little slouchy, it's a little tiresome, but I'd be the same way if I knew all the coaches were against me. I don't know how they leak information from the coaches. Like, they're leaking information to the media. Like, hey, if you want to talk about that, you didn't hear this from me, but we hate Dwayne Haskins. That was all Dan Snyder in the front office. Are you sure you want me to leak that? Yeah, just you didn't hear it from me. Okay, source. Coaches hate Dwayne Haskins. It's like, all right, now Dwayne Haskins has to walk in there and be like, all right, so these coaches hate me. Front office loves me. Now I'm kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. I don't really like these coaches either if they're not going to like me. My body language was bad on draft night. It was bad in the first couple weeks. It was bad whenever I was playing. But you get me in a situation where the coach wants me to succeed, maybe I'll do well. When you heard him in the post-game press conference, he said, I'm going to be here for a long time. And he might as well just finish that statement with saying, I'm going to be here a lot longer than Jay Gruden. So if these bums want to get out of here, I'm completely okay with that. I don't know how Dwayne Haskins is going to do, but I do think Danny Dimes is going to lead the Giants into the promised land in the future at some point.
Yeah, I think that's a safe assumption. Yeah, I mean, Dwayne Haskins, I think it's more likely than not that he just stinks, but maybe he considers changing his name to Dewey Haskins and he plays better. I don't know.
11:55 here on this Monday, September 30th. I feel like we covered everything you're supposed to cover in a sports talk show. If you love us, we appreciate it. Tweet us using the hashtag Pat McAfee Show Live. Call the program managers and say we want to listen to the Pat McAfee Show. If not, just turn the dial. We can't thank you enough. Have an incredible week. We'll be back tomorrow live from Indianapolis, Indiana. This has been the Pat McAfee Show.